Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be making the Ella bag. So first we're going to do the decorative panels, and the first thing we're going to do is set the side decorative panel right side up on the right side of the side panel, aligning the bottom and the side edges as I'm doing now. Then we take it to the sewing machine and then we top stitch all around the decorative panel with 1/8 inch seam allowance as I am doing right now. Now this is raw edge, and you could consider actually painting that top edge with edge coat to give it a professional look. I did not do any of that, and it still come out really nice. So I repeated the same thing for the other side, and I'm still going to do that same thing for the main panel. So I'm going to set the main decorative panel on the main panel on the right side now. So the two has to be facing the right side, right? And then I'm also going to stick it down with my glue. You can use the double-sided tape and then sew around all the edges of the main decorative panel. So I'll repeat the same thing for the other side of the main panel and the second main decorative panel. Now I'm going to set the purse fit on the main panel, and I will do that by using my pattern piece A to make the mark, because the mark is already indicated on the pattern piece A. You just have to transfer it to your piece A and then install your purse fit on. Step 2, the piping panel. Now take the piping panel and then on the wrong side measure 1 inch in from both short edges and then draw a line. Also draw another line down the center of the long edge within the lines you made from the last step. Then I'm going to apply glue. You can also use your double-sided tape, and then I will center my piping on that center line, and then I'm going to fold it all together as I'm doing right now. Now make sure that the long edges are matching. Now match the long raw edge of the piping panel with one long edge of the main panel and then clip them in place. Now take this to your sewing machine, and when you are about to sew it, make sure that you fold 1/2 inch on the ends of the piping at angle 90 degrees and then sew with 1/8 inch seam allowance. We're going to repeat the same thing for the other piping panel. So you can cut the excess piping panel away. Now step 3, flap panel. Draw a 3/4 inch line down the down from the straight edge of the flap panel on the wrong side, and then we're going to put double-sided tape. Also, we're going to use the stitching guide to mark on the wrong side of the flap panel as I'm doing right now. Then we match the flap panels right sides together and we clip them in place. Now take this to the sewing machine and sew on the line I made with that stitching guide. Now note that you can actually sew this wrong sides together so that you don't have to turn it, and then you use edge coats to finish the edges for professional look. Now after sewing, just use you can use your zigzag scissors or even straight scissors to give it notches around the seam allowance, just to reduce the bulk for easy turning. Now turn it to the right side and use something pointed to get out the pointed edges. Now insert your flap interfacing into it as I'm doing right now. Make sure everything is flat and neat. Then I'm going to clip it again because my vinyl is just a little bulky around those edges and I want it to be very flat and neat. I will take this to the sewing machine and sew around all the edges with 1/8 inch seam allowance. Then at this point, I'm going to install my lock. So the female lock has to go on the flap. And then it's time now to sew my flap to the main panel. And it is sewn now. I'm also going to sew my front tab to the main panel. So I'm sewing the two right sides together and I'm using 1/8 inch seam allowance. Sorry, I am sewing it wrong sides together, not right sides together. So it's done now. So I'll place the straight edge on the other side of the main panel that doesn't have the flap, and then I'm going to sew it with 1/8 inch seam allowance. Step 4, the side panel. Now I'm going to interface the side panel with the side panel interfacing by centering it on the side panel. Now repeat the same thing for the other side panel and the other side panel interfacing as well. Now I'm going to start matching the main panel to the side panel. I will start matching them from the bottom, then I will match their top edges and also match there is this decorative panel. I want to make sure that they are lining up. I'm also going to match that before matching the sides in between. Then I'll repeat the same thing for the other side. Match the center, then the top of the decorative panels and the top of the panels and the sides in between, and of course I'm going to sew them all with 3/8" seam allowance. Now I'm using cylinder arm for this, but you can use your flatbed. You just have to like go slow with it and be really careful. It is very doable. Most of the testers use flatbed for this and it totally works. Now it's all done, and I will turn it to the right side and set the main interfacing inside the bag on the wrong side of the main panel. Then fuse or glue it in place. Step 5. We're going to draw a 2" line from the two short edges of the upper frame panel, and then we're also going to draw these other lines as I am doing. All the measurements and instructions are all in the pattern because it's a lot of lines we have to draw, but trust me, it's all going to make sense in a few minutes. Now I'm using glue to fold this, but you can use your double-sided tape. So because I'm using vinyl, I'm going to cut those edges, but if I'm using something that is a frame material, I'm not going to cut that. So I'm going to sew that edge. And then I'm going to fold the folded edge of the on the long edge, and also sew that. Now I'll take the remaining long edge now and sew it wrong sides together as I'm doing right now. Now this is the frame panel. You see what I mean by it will all make sense soon. Okay, so we're going to take this and clip it to our main panel. Now the upper frame panel goes to the back of the bag. That's the place that has the flap, and the lower frame panel goes to the front of the bag. That's the one that has the front tab. So I'll clip everything in place like this. Then I'll take this to the sewing machine and sew it with a 1/8" seam allowance. Now this is the time to do your zipper pocket. The video for the zipper pocket and slip pocket is in the description below. Now it is all done, and I'm going to assemble them now, and right sides together. I'm going to place them right sides together and sew on the two edges. Now the exterior should be right side out and the lining should be wrong side out. Now tuck the exterior into the lining, and they should be right sides together now, and then clip the top edges together. Make sure that those top edges are lining properly. Now as you are clipping them, you have to fold back the unsewn edge of your frame panel so that when you are sewing, you don't sew through it. Now we'll take this to the sewing machine and we sew around all the top edges. Now it's going to be 3/8 inch seam allowance. Now you have to be really careful when you are sewing this. Go slow and be patient with it. It is very doable. And of course, when you get to that side, make sure that you don't catch your frame panel. So push it as I am doing right now. Make sure you don't catch your frame panel inside the seam. I mean the unsewn part of the frame panel now. Now push the lining in and to review the right side of your bag. Now clip the sides and sew them with 1/8 inch seam allowance. At this point, I'm going to install the male lock, and the male lock will be installed at 3.5 inch from the seam, from the seam of the main panel. So after this, I will bring out the bottom of my lining panel, and then I will hold it right sides together, clip it in place, and then take it to the sewing machine and sew with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I'm also going to bring out the bottom corner. I will match the seams and also clip them in place and sew with another 3/8 inch seam allowance. I will repeat the same thing for the other box, the boxed corner or the bottom corner, and I will close the open edge of my zipper pocket. I will sew this with 1/8 inch seam allowance. Then I'm going to put it back to its place. Now at this stage, you could either use the metal doctor bag frame, or if you're like me and you don't have the metal frame, you can go for the interfacing and wire option that is also in the pattern. So what I'll do is open up the insulator on the wire first to review the wire itself. So you can use your long nose plier to help you remove that, and make sure you don't injure your hand while doing this. So I'll straighten it, then apply some glue on my interfacing. I'm going to apply it on the two because you have to cut two interfacing. So I'm going to set that wire frame at the edges of it. It has to be on the edges. Doesn't want to glue, but I'm going to use some glue to also stick that down and in place. So once that is done, I'm going to take the other interfacing and cover it. Now I'll use my plier to also stick it together to make sure that everything is tight and nice. Now repeat the same thing for the second interfacing. Now one is upper interfacing and the second one is lower interfacing. I'm going to push that into my frame panels. Now the reason why this is like really bendable and sturdy is because of that wire that is inside it. So if you do not have the metal frame, this is like it got you covered. It's going to really do the work. So now this is what we have at this point. And then I'm going to install my stud rivets as I am doing right now. I'm going to punch a hole to install it on the lower frame, which is the front one, and then I will install it on the front one and use the upper one to cover it up. It might be a little confusing, but this is written really clearly in the pattern, and if you watch the video carefully, you will also get it correctly. So I'm going to bend my side panel like this. Also, this is not something I'm just doing at the top of my head. Is also written clearly in the pattern how to do this, because you have to measure some 3.5 inch and then bend it like that and to give you that shape. So now after that, I will close it like this, and then I will close the lock. Step 9, the handle panel. Now take the one handle panel and then draw a 3/8 inch line on the short edges and a line down the center of the long edge within that 3/8 inch line. And of course, it should be on the wrong side of the handle panel. I'm going to apply glue on this, and you can also use your double-sided tape. And then I will glue down my interfacing. Now I'm going to fold this to the center line, the long edges now to the center line. And I will repeat the same thing for the long edge. Now note that you are not folding up to the short edges, because we need those short edges opened. I'm going to install my D-rings on the longer handle panel, and then hold it right sides together with the long one now, right sides together with the shorter one. Then sew it slant, give it a slant cutting as I am doing right now, and then use double-sided tape or glue to hold down that seam. And finally, you can now fold those edges, those remaining edges, to the center. Now once that is done, I'm going to push my D-ring up to 1 inch to the seam. Now it has to be 1 inch to the seam, and then I will fold them wrong sides together and clip in place, and then sew with a 1/8 inch seam allowance. Now I'm going to punch a hole on the handle panel as I am doing right now. Then I will also punch a hole on my bag. Now the measurement is 1 inch from the edge of the flap. Now the river that I'm using to do this is very long. It's 13 millimeter, because our normal 9 millimeter rivers might not be able to do it because of the bulk. Now it's all done. This is our bag and it's looking beautiful and classy and everything it can be. Now this is the time to do your long strap. Video for the long strap is linked in the description below. So guys, thank you for watching and bye.